Hey
Sorry.
guys, welcome to this episode of Jack's Business Talk. Today we have a special guest, Dylan.
Hey, how's it going today, Jack?
Good. How about yourself?
Oh, pretty good over here. Just doing some Father's Day stuff. Sounds like you're going to be doing some of that stuff later.
Yep, yep.
So, what are
We
we
just
here to
have
talk about today? Oh, sorry.
so I wanted to go over more of the buy box. So this would be part two of the series. I'm going to make a little drop down thing in our my channel so people can kind of see how to do a buy box. And I wanted to talk more about Greensburg. You kind of caught my attention on that.
hmm
So yeah,
Yeah.
so
So, the thing that we've started to like about this town, and I had mentioned it briefly in the last call that we had, is just its vicinity to two major metros. So, you have,
mhm.
and if we want to do a Here, I'll throw it up on a screen share so everybody can see. Share. Okay. So you have Cincy, right? Like Cincinnati right here, and then you have Indianapolis right here. And just with Greensburg being right here, it's not super close to both, but there's people that will live here or around here that work in both locations, and you have a lot of through traffic between Cincinnati and Indianapolis. So like a lot of truck drivers and a lot of different types of businesses that are going to be having to transport their products or people that, want to live in Indy but want to work in Cincinnati or they have jobs to do in Cincinnati and they just go back and forth. And
Mhm.
we've also found that the price points aren't super expensive, which has been interesting because, everything has started to drift up lately. So we've just been trying to find markets that we believe people will live there that have solid incomes, but also the price points aren't going to be super high. And the reason that we were liking this place specifically is we think that a lot of the people that are going to be living there aren't necessarily buying because they may be staying for a while and then moving, maybe like a year or two, then moving. Now, this isn't the case with everyone, but like, people that work at the Honda plant, for example, like they might live there for a year or so, and then they might move somewhere else. That's not as ideal for some people if you want to maintain like a super low vacancy, but it does give us an ability to pay less for things. So that's why we've been liking this city so far.
So the hour commute doesn't really bother anyone.
From from the people that I've talked to, it's not as bad because like a lot of the people that'll like it's not as bad as it being an hour because a lot of the people will live in Greensburg and they may work in Shelbyville or
Mm.
they may work in some of the surrounding cities. So it's not like they're always driving to Indianapolis, but if they need to go to Indianapolis for something, they are close enough to be able to do that. But yeah, there are some people that live in Greensburg, work in Indianapolis or Greenwood or Whiteland, which is down here, or Franklin. Um, that's not uncharacteristic of the place. You definitely see that.
Okay. And what are you seeing like as far as the average age of homes and stuff there?
So most of the things that we're buying are around the 1950s. I know you were saying that you're used to dealing with houses that are a little bit older. My partner specifically just doesn't like dealing with anything that's pre-1950 because that's where you can start to run into like knob and tube or they have brick foundations. And that's just not stuff that he likes to deal with. Usually, we're always buying things that, at a minimum, have the block foundation. So,
Mhm.
like right around 1950s. Um, but if you're good with older houses, that's something where you can find a lot of stuff from like the 1920s, 1930s that you can get for cheaper, but you're gonna have to do some work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
sounds like that's your strong suit anyways.
yeah, I was gonna say I'm kind of used to working on stuff from the 1850s and stuff. So
Oh my gosh.
yeah, so like working with bricks would be a massive improvement compared to working with stone and sand.
So have you had to like fill in a foundation or like, add stone and like, I don't know how you work with a stone foundation, so.
So far, the only major thing I've had to do so far is it was crumbling in one section,
Hmm.
and I had to dig it out from the backside, like toward like on the side where there's dirt and stuff. I had to dig that out, re-support it, and mat the whole thing, and then tar it to keep the water from coming through it.
Hmm.
And then on the inside, since it was still structural. Like I didn't wait that long. I was I was fortunate enough since it's already supported on the out exterior. On the interior, I just fiberglassed the inside of it, and then I put the mat down again, and
Hmm.
just repainted the whole thing.
Interesting. I've seen some videos of people working on that stone foundation where they're literally like putting new stones in place and then like I don't know if it's mortar or what they're using in between all the stones, but no, it's pretty interesting. It's something that I've
It's usually
I've
mortar,
never.
yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah,
But no, it's pretty interesting stuff. But with that, in these older houses, I'm sure comes like, your walls are out of square. You may have issues with the roof, issues with the foundation, like stuff that since it's a little bit easier to deal with, but it's going to scare a lot of people away from wanting to touch it.
yeah. That's my biggest thing is what I'm trying to bank on is the fact that people aren't going to want to touch it.
Hmm.
Is that because like my ultimate goal is when I buy the place, to
Hmm.
kind of work on them, get them ready. But like I want to do kind of more of the I want to get everything done, do the whole property equity raise all in basically one hit.
Hmm.
And so like all the foundation work, all the electrical, I want to update the plumbing. So I'm probably going to spend quite a bit of time out there. And I just want to make sure everything is done right and it's done so we don't have to mess with it for like another 50 years.
Hmm. Yeah, that's how I like to do the stuff too. I just knocked out some trees actually on one of my properties that they're dead and I don't think it's like an immediate problem, but
Yeah,
for peace of mind in the fact that like I don't want to wait till we have our next like tornado or something that comes through the area or like the super powered winds like we had I want to say it was like a month or two ago where we were getting winds I don't know if you guys got this too but we were getting winds of like 100 miles plus per hour just like ripping through and I was worried about these dead trees that I had because they're like 50 60 feet tall on one of the properties. And I didn't have to pay for it to be done, but I ended up going ahead and paying to get the trees removed. But that was like $4,000. But that's like it's done now. Like I'm never gonna have to worry about those trees again. And that's kind of how I
yeah.
like to do everything that I do when it comes to the properties.
I have one tree job I'm leaving go for right now. I know
Uh-huh.
it sounds completely contradicting everything I just said and what you just said, but the only
Yeah.
reason is because it was struck by lightning,
Uh-huh.
and which is what killed it. But it's only like a 40 to 50 foot tree, and literally if it falls, it's not going to hit anything.
Oh, then that's not a problem.
So
Mine, the
so
worry.
so like I was telling Cynthia, I was just like, we have so much firewood as it is. It's like I cannot. It's like I do not have the room to put another tree worth of firewood. It's like I want to stay up, let it dry out. I was like, if I don't get till to the end of next year before we shove it in my dilapidated shed, I was like, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. No, I mean that makes sense because the reason I cut these down is because they are on the road. So there
Mm,
are people with cars parked there, and if the tree were to fall and hit somebody's car, then it's a liability against my insurance, or we have to pay for something out of pocket. And I'm like, what's cheaper, $4,000 to knock out these three trees, or somebody's Honda gets totaled and I have to buy them a new Honda? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah. Like that in your situation, I would do the same thing. I probably wouldn't even pay attention to the trees.
yeah. It is interesting though because you can see where the light bulb, the lightning bolt hit the tree.
Hmm.
because the branch is supposed to be I don't know, probably about like this big around, like about inch and a half, 2 inches,
Hmm.
and it's just like blown out like a Dr.
Oh
Seuss thing.
wow.
Like it's just all splinters and stuff, and you can see like where the bolt, like the lightning bolt, ran down the side of the tree and stuff.
That's pretty cool though. I've seen where people this is a little off topic, but where people like essentially like I don't know if they're putting oil or if it's water or what they're doing, but when they're making like a table and they have the piece of wood, they'll put electricity to it and just like they'll have the electricity go through the wood and create all these
Hmm.
different burn marks, and then they'll seal that in. I don't know. I think it looks kind of cool. Um, completely tangential to what you were talking about, not even in the same realm of like the what the conversation was. Just electricity and wood.
So to start to bring things back. So
Hmm.
is it common for Greensburg? I don't know what it's called. Like let's say I got a place and they had knob and tube. Is it common
Hmm.
to run the wires on the exterior or like on the interior of the place and using those wire troughs and stuff? Kind of like what you would see in like an office, like an office cubicle area, or is it more common just to knock everything down and put the wires behind the wall?
It's most common for I want to say every property I've been in, nobody really runs any wires on the exterior. It's always on the like they'll just blow out the wall and then run the wires,
Mhm.
which is more of a headache, but it looks
Yeah.
better.
It looks better. The reason why I was asking is because like some of my properties and like the one area I'm investing in, it's very common to see like the wires, like you're not visually seeing the wires, but like they have the little wire troughs and
Yeah.
the the outlets and stuff on the inside of the room, and then they
Mhm.
just patch over the old like they just pull the wires, knob and tube out, and then they patch over the holes.
Mm, okay. I don't think I've ever seen that before on the inside of a house. We just
Yeah,
must not do that as much here, or it's possible that I just haven't seen a house that has done that here.
yeah.
I have seen it in a garage, but that I understood a little bit more because they were running from the panel inside the garage to like where their washer and dryer goes. And I still don't know from a code perspective if that's okay or not, like what
Yeah.
they were doing, because they had a lot of other issues with their house too. Um, but I didn't end up buying that one because it needed like it was a new gas line, new septic tank. The well needed to be uh, inspected for bacteria or treated for bacteria. There was foundational repairs that needed done and like some other stuff. And like they were listed for like 130, but this was closer to like where I live. So, a lot of the houses are trading at like, especially with that size of yard, like 300. But all of the work that needed done and it was a rental beforehand and I was going to make it a rental. I'm like, I can't put 80,000 into this and then rent it out like at, 12 or $1,300 a month and be in it 200 grand.
Hmm. Yeah, it
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay with fixing stuff, but not to that extent.
Yeah.
But
I would
no, you
rather
can
stay out of the well and septic arena. And it's not that I have anything necessarily against it. It's just I guess I would say I have more of a problem trying to deal with it at this distance.
yeah. Yeah. No, and I think it just adds complexity to like what your whole business because now you have to think about when are you going to have that replaced. I mean, I guess people could say the same thing about your line that connects the main for the city, but I don't think that's as much of a problem as a well and septic can be because at some point those are going to need replaced.
Yeah.
But no, you can find some decent stuff in Greensburg. Like I'm looking at a house right now, literally just on Redfin, that is 87,000, bedroom, one bath, 950 square feet. It's 1930 build. Um, and I'd say that's pretty characteristic for the age that you're going to be looking at. And now with them being on the market 37 days already, I can tell you they ain't getting 87.
Hmm. So, do you mind if I take a minute to show you my spreadsheet?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I don't know why I got so buried there.
Oh yeah, no worries.
You able to see that?
Yeah.
So this is a list of some properties in the past. I delete them as I go through. There's obviously I've run a lot more than this, but it's just this is just I delete a lot out of it just because there was no interest or I
Hmm.
got rid of them. So basically, what I do is I'll type up something so I know what I'm talking about. So it would be like the address of the place, how many doors, am, am I planning on living there, just so I know how to kind of crunch the numbers a little bit more. What
Hmm.
type of loan? These, being being bigger units and stuff, it'll all be conventional. So I wouldn't have to worry too much about it. It wouldn't be or I didn't mean to say conventional. I meant to say
Commercial.
commercial. Yeah. So it wouldn't be conventional or FHA or any of that. Those options would all be gone. Possibly DSCR, I guess, depending on who you talk to. Anyway,
Uh, when you're dealing with commercial, I would say that everything is really treated as a DSCR loan unless there's like some huge value add opportunity. Like going into the purchase of the 12plex that I bought, the DSCR was a pretty big factor in them willing to finance the property for us. And I
mhm,
even I got a chance to talk to like their head of lending over there, and he was saying like the number one thing they care about is cash flow. So I would say more often than not, if you're looking at a commercial product, it's essentially treated. You could just call it like a DSCR loan. Nobody calls it that, but they all focus on DSCR, but your terms are going to be different. So you're looking at a 20 year is what I would recommend underwriting on. People can get you to a 25 year at some banks, but you shouldn't overpay just because you can extend out the term unless there's some sort of nice value add that you're looking at. You're like, "Ah, I don't mind overpaying 10% because I can add 30% in value by doing these things." You know what I mean?
mhm. Yeah, and then I just have the normal stuff, your closing costs, water, sewage, repairs, mortgage, rent. Um, I did, I could have worded that better, but basically a third of what you have coming in, your
Hmm.
gross going back towards repairs, your net profit and your annual profit. And then I have the yield percentage. And just for my own shits and giggles, I put the average profit per door.
Hmm.
That last column was just something I wanted just for my own information, even though it's not really necessarily or needed. Is there anything else you could think of when analyzing commercial stuff that I should
Yeah.
add to this?
Yeah. So something you're going to need to factor for is lawn care. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not seeing that on here, but lawn care, snow removal if you guys get a lot of snow, and then I'll wait till you get these ones typed out, but I have some more for you too. So the next one would be if you have a cleaning person. So like is somebody, cleaning the hallways? Is somebody, you know, um, if you need somebody to mop, if there's like things outside that people need to clean up, if you need somebody to, sweep up the asphalt, or not sweep up the asphalt, like, blow the leaves off the asphalt or something like that. Just
Mm-hmm.
those kind of landscaping services that you're going to need to factor in. Those usually, so like these three things usually fall under what are called CAM charges or your common area maintenance. Um, that's the term that everybody uses for that in the commercial space. I don't too much just because I I I came from the residential background, so I just add them all as like different line items. I'm not just like cam charges, everything's lumped into one thing. I'll do like landscaping, or then I'll do lawn mowing, because those are different things. Are we doing hardscaping or is it just somebody mowing the grass? I need to know what all these separate bills are. Um, Depending on the size of your property, you might have to factor for payroll. Payroll could actually be a thing if you have like a 50 unit building. Now, I know we're not looking at that at first. We were talking about somewhere in the realm of like a 10 to a 20 or something like that. So
Yeah.
you'd probably just have a third party manager. And if you're in Greensburg, it'd probably be somebody like me or so there's other property managers around town too that could do something like that. But that's something that you'd want to factor for here. I know you do all self-management currently, right?
I do self-management in this area, but
Hmm.
I would probably end up doing more. I'm thinking of like a hybrid method
Yeah.
with you out there, where because my goal is I want to have like a how should I'm working on a website that's kind of self-directed and can shoot most tenants to how to fix a certain thing, like how to reset a GFCI, like save all the minimal calls.
Hmm.
So like 90% of the calls that me and you would be taking are just eliminated.
Yeah.
And
And
that way
re
we're and that way we're only dealing with the 10%.
and really from that, like something that I'm trying to think of, I can't I mean, I can't remember. Oh, I think it was Matt that I was listening to that was saying this. Saying like if you have one property or five properties or 100 properties, you should have the systems in place to be able to run all of them efficiently. And I was thinking about that because I'm at 15 right now, like 15 doors that I manage, and I want to make it as effortless as possible. So when I try to start adding on property management clients, that it doesn't become like a cluster. So that's
Mhm.
something that I've been working on over the past few days, just thinking of the systems and stuff like that. Like you're saying, like I shouldn't get a call about a GFCI going out because somebody tripped it. Like you should just know to press the button and it'll reset it and you can use it again.
Yeah. We can talk more about that in a different video, but
Yeah, yeah,
I kind of have something in mind that I could
yeah.
really spill into. Maybe we could do a collaboration on getting it up and off the ground.
Yeah. So as far as other things that you should factor for, do you have, okay, so you have, what is your repairs number based on? Is it a
The repair
percentage?
the repairs number is based off a percentage of the gross brought in
Hmm.
by the rentals.
Okay.
So
Uh,
so
s-
that so that's taken right off the very top before even the mortgage payment and stuff is handled.
no, that makes sense. I have been told by some people in commercial real estate that I am way too high on my repairs number, but I blew that number out of the water this year. So I am not trusting them currently with that.
Well, here's the thing too, like, and I'm not I'm not trying to bash the people you heard that from, but
Yeah.
their properties may be stabilized where you're
Yes.
just taking over them. So it's like you're going to get slaughtered the first 2 or 3 years with them.
Yes. Yes. That's exactly what it was because I was telling them that my maintenance budget is 10% and they were like 10%, like, if your property's grossing 140 grand a year, which is roughly what mine should do this year, like that's $14,000. And I'm like, man, I spent $14,000, actually 15 renovating one apartment, laying new LVP, new AC unit, having it painted,
Mhm.
having the cabinets painted, having like a new toilet and then new faucets and everything installed and like a new shower kit. Like all of that was $15,000. So that's the whole budget for the entire property for the entire year. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, no, the first few years, really this first year of stabilization is brutal on the commercial side because you see all this money come in every month, but then it goes right back out, plus a little bit sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, but then once
But
you're done, you're done for a minute, and turnover is usually a lot easier. It's just replace, I mean, in my experience, like I've had some busted cabinet doors and stuff, and I always pick ones that I easily run myself. I don't know the name of the style,
mhm,
but I like to build cabinets I can build myself. I used to work in a cabinet shop,
yep,
but I usually just buy the boxes at this point. Like I buy better boxes and then I cut all the doors myself. I I like to do that just because then like they're already fitted for like soft close and all that stuff. I don't have to waste a week just trying to get them all situated. Everything's done, and then I'll
yeah,
cut my own doors and stuff. But I like the style where it's like you have the bigger, thicker, like side pieces that are like,
hmm
the farm country styles, I call it. And then they just groove cut the inside and put like a piece of, something more or something thicker than quarter inch, but not by much. Maybe 3/8, I'm guessing. And
hmm
they just glue the whole thing together.
Hmm. I've never heard anybody say they just build their own cabinets. Well,
I,
you
I,
do the
I worked in
cabinet
a,
doors.
I do the cabinet doors
Yeah.
because I can do them so cheap. Or I know that this sounds cheap, but I'll sometimes do a throwback. And
hmm
all I'll do in a throwback is I just get like a cabinet grade wood
hmm
and I'll just run it across the table saw, cut it to size and stuff. And then I just do a nice router bit across them all and cut the holes for a slow close on the door since the cabinet's
hmm
already set up for it. And it looks presentable for rental. I mean,
Hmm.
it's not something I would stick in a class A rental, obviously. Like if I was doing class A, I would have the whole thing done professionally instead of just someone that's done it, almost 10 years ago. But for class C, class B, I'm perfectly fine with that.
hmm Well, I don't know about you, but like I don't even like the idea of doing Class A rentals. Like there's so many builders out there that are working on that stuff anyways, and they're doing everything, you got like granite countertops and all that stuff.
Hmm.
I try to do some of the things that we do as efficiently as possible cost-wise, so I can provide better than average apartments for the area and for the price that I'm charging for them. Uh, I,
Yeah.
I just feel like the high end is like not even something I want to think of doing anyways. Like concerning Class A, I'm more of your speed, what you were talking about, just like the Class B and C rentals. Um, no, I think it's a lot better that way. But uh, what else do you think that we should add into this for the on the commercial side of this property? Like, was there anything that you were thinking of that you may need to add to your sheet that um, that I haven't mentioned already as far as like potential problems that come up?
Um, I kind of feel like that's everything, you know, because it even spreadsheet even includes the upfront cost, like the make ready costs. I have it worded something
Mhm.
different.
Yeah, and then one other thing though, I would say when you're looking at doing commercial is if you find a good enough deal, you not only if you find a good enough deal, if you find something and then you can tell the story to the bank about how it is what it is now and where it's going to be, and you can articulate that well and you can show that you've done rentals in the past, everything is really a negotiation with them as far as the terms and then different things that you can have happen in the loan. Like, for example, if you wanted 6 months of interest only or a year of interest only, and then it flipped to an amortized loan, or you wanted a 25-year loan instead of a 20-year loan, and then you can give them reasons why. Those are good conversations to have because unlike a lot of the residential stuff, commercial is not as set in stone. It's more of a negotiation back and forth between you and the bank because you're at the end of
Mhm.
the day, you're partners with them on it.
So these doors here, the on Lowe's,
Yeah.
these are the ones I usually cut myself just
Hmm.
because they're super easy to do because all you do is the exterior frame, you just groove cut that and you just slip in whatever middle if you want that decorative piece with the
Hmm.
which you just create that with a router bit and then just have it about I want to say quarter of an inch, maybe slightly more. It just slips right in, and then you put that final piece on, and you just glue and there's a certain it's kind of like a staple nail that you would then use to or close it off. But yeah, that's the type I usually make.
Gotcha. I think you're
It,
underselling your knowledge a little bit here because I have never worked on cabinets or anything besides just sanding them and painting them, so I understood none of that. But no, it's good that you can save a lot of money on those.
I can't believe that you're charging $80 a door because I can cut those for about 20 bucks a piece, just about.
Well, I think I just found a new business for you then. Oh, no. But yeah, I mean, the commercial space is something that I recommend people get into at some point in time. And I think you've already had the experience of like managing rentals. So it just seems like the next logical step to try to find something just a little bit bigger than what you've been buying now. And if you find the deal right, you operate it right and you add value to the property through increasing rents, making the property a nicer place for people to live, you get rewarded on the back end, unlike a lot of residential stuff where everything is based on comps. With commercial, everything's based on your NOI and where
Yeah.
rates are at the time. So if everything's trading for a 7 cap, but you bought the property for a 10, rates go down and your property's reassessed for a 7 cap. That may only sound like 3%, but that's like a 30 or 40% increase in the value of your property. Like I'm pretty sure the one that I bought, we took it from a 6 cap we bought it at up to an 11 cap, and then I reassessed it back at a 7 cap for our appraisal and it went from like the 770 something we bought it for up to like 1.14, which is like 380K and like between buying it and doing the appraisal was like 7 months. I mean, it's ridiculous. That's why I think commercial is the next logical step, and there's more cash flow to take care of problems.
Yeah, like I said, I just want to get to the point where, where me and Cynthia are financially independent,
Hmm.
which may be in like the next year or two, if that. And I want to get my bad debt paid off, which is why I'm going to start working on the side as a handyman and selling real estate. If I get those two things done, I'm probably talking like late 26. I'm probably going to switch to commercial. That's where I really want to start accumulating wealth and building up units and all that kind of stuff as quick as possible.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I know like a big thing in our group is talking about financial independence because really that's what everybody's after that gets into real estate. Or, leaving something for their kids or making their retirement better. But I feel like most of us that I've talked to in our group or most of everyone that I've talked to in the group is after financial independence. You can also just change some things around, once you have options. So, like, let's say all your bad debt's knocked out. Like, you don't necessarily have to make the same amount of money that you made at your job currently. You could switch to something you like far more, like being the real estate agent and handyman. That's exactly what I did. Like, I got
Well, that's
my
why honestly, I'm going to do that in addition to my W-2 right now, or for like
Mhm,
this year, next year. And if I can get it cut down to half,
mhm.
then I'm probably leaving my W-2 and I'm just going to go do that
Yeah, that's
because
awesome.
I would enjoy that a lot more. I enjoy seeing what I'm working on and what I'm working with, and it wouldn't be that hard for me at that point if I still wasn't quite making ends, just fire
Yeah.
up a landscaping company and do 30 lawns.
I'll tell you though, man, if you start doing handyman work for some of the investors that we know in the community and you just in Pennsylvania in general, because you know quite a few people there, I would assume, just through
Mhm.
Jeremy. You're probably gonna get like the joke we have is like if you can pick up your phone as a contractor, you're going to make 100 grand a year. Like I don't see a reason why you couldn't replace your income pretty easily, like especially if you're known to do good work and know what you're
Mhm.
talking about when you go to do that stuff, which you have rentals, so you should like I'd assume based on seeing some of your videos that you know how to do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah. I'm almost like I don't want to sound like I'm bragging, but besides if I had to start off from scratch on a house,
Uh-huh.
I could probably almost build the entire house.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like as a handyman, if you're able to do all that, I mean you're you're a
I was
gold
talking
mine for people.
I was talking to someone before and they said that I should really consider skipping the whole handyman thing and go straight for GC. And I told them I was just like, it might be something I consider in the future, but I was like, I don't know. It's like I would just want to get my feet wet, do the handyman stuff for a while, and then think about GC. I was like, the problem is GC brings in a lot of extra things along with it.
Yeah. I've had people recommend the same thing because I've been painting houses and they said, "Well, your time could be better spent instead of painting those houses that you're painting because I'm like working in all of our renovations that we have going on. And I'm like doing demo and painting houses and stuff." And they're like, "You should just contract out that work so you can, do higher leverage activities." And while I agree, I did just switch from being somebody with a full-time job to now I just work as a real estate agent and I do the contracting work for my partner on the side. I'm trying to maximize what I'm making from that, and I'm not wanting to pay somebody like a large portion of whatever I would make from each job just to do all the work for me. I'm just
Yeah,
not there yet. So, I don't know.
yeah, I get it.
Well, also, like, what if you underbid on something and then you have to go back to the client and ask them for more money? Like, being a handyman seems a lot easier than ha like GCing projects at the
Hmm.
start when you don't know the whole like how many hours it's going to take you to do this thing. Uh, how much are you going to have to pay somebody to do this thing versus what you could do it for and just charge yourself?
Well, too, and to go back to what you said, and this is kind of something I was thinking about too. It's easier to start off as a handyman, especially with all the connections of the ORAC community, because
Mhm.
they know us, like they know that our intentions were we weren't trying to rip them off. It's just like if you can explain what happened and stuff, I feel like it's easier to get your feet wet with the community that already knows and trusts us versus a complete stranger that's just thinking we're trying to rip them off.
Yeah, I think that's easier. Like, I probably wouldn't have started painting if it wasn't for my partner because
Yeah.
his painters were charging him substantially more than I ended up charging him just to do some of this work. And it's not that I wasn't charging a lot. Like, I was charging like $50 an hour to spray paint houses, but somehow I would complete the jobs in like a week and a half, 2 weeks, and I would still be charging 40% of what their bids were. So makes me wonder, like I know it was only two guys on their team too. So I'm like, you know, it it's more beneficial for him. It's some work for me to do. It's stuff that I can do during the day when I'm not doing agent work because I'm not always doing agent work. Like I just started, so yes, I have a few clients, but I'm not working with them every day, all day.
Hmm.
Plus, I get a
Yeah.
workout. Yeah. That's the part that I've been enjoying. It's like an all day workout, and you get to listen to podcasts and stuff like that. So I tune into Mark and some of the other live streams that are going on. I can't always comment because sometimes I'll have a paintbrush in my hand and I'm just going up the wall. But
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I think as long as our quality is good, I think, people will keep reusing us and stuff.
yeah, man. Um, I don't think you'll have any issues doing handyman work. Have you tried to work with anybody yet? Thrown some feelers out there to see if anybody needed help?
There's a couple people that I had a couple jobs with. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting to get the green light to go ahead and get started. But
Mhm.
I'm hope right now we're in the middle of like a 2 week rainstorm, more or less here in PA. I'm waiting for the
Same
rain to
here.
stop to get the one project done. It's probably gonna be a whole day event, but yeah, see
Yeah.
how that one goes.
Yeah, we've been having the exact same thing going on here. Just constant rain. Like it's rained every day for the past few days.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we don't have anything on the commercial side, we could probably go ahead and end that video here, and we can pick back up on another one just with some of the other things we're talking about building systems around our tenants and making our lives easier as property managers and stuff like that.
So thanks for tuning into this episode of Jack's Business Talk. Thank you again, Dylan, for joining us.
Welcome. Glad to be here.